Okay, so we're going to add some neckline shaping on these two areas here, and we're going to start with the top right corner. Your front panel should be facing up, your stitches should be right side up, and we're going to work straight onto this top corner. So get your yarn and attach it in the top right corner with a slip stitch. Chain 3 and put another double crochet back into the same corner chain space. Oh, hang on, I'm picking up different bits of yarn there. Okay, so what, oh, hang on, I haven't pulled that through. So what we're going to do now is we're going to skip your next chain space, that chain 3 there, and we're going to be working into the single crochets. So we're going to put 3 doubles in the next single crochet. Three double crochets in the next single crochet. Again, skip the chain space and put 3 single crochets in the next, no, hang on, I've got it the wrong way round. 3 double crochets in the next single crochet. Sorry about that. 3 doubles in the next single. Again, skip the chain space and then go into the next single crochet with 3 doubles. Keep repeating that until you reach your stitch marker. When you get to your stitch marker, you're going to skip your chain space again, and then you're going to put just 2 double crochets in the stitch marker. Let me take mine out a minute. I'm going to put 2 double crochets in the same single crochet as the stitch marker. And that is row 1. Nice and easy. So I'm changing colour. If you're not changing colour, sorry, you're sticking with the same one, you're going to turn your work and then you're ready. Literally just turn it round and then you're ready to come back along the other side. I'm going to change colour. I'm just going to fasten off and then reattach mine with a slip stitch. If you're changing colour, change it however you wish. Sometimes I like work my stitch in with my new yarn. Today I feel like snipping it off and going again. It doesn't matter how you change colour. It really doesn't matter. Do it however you wish. So I'm going to change colour, which also means I'm going to turn my work because we've now got to come back along this way. Let me just get my new colour. It's lovely golden mustardy yellow. I'm going to go through my very first stitch with a slip stitch and chain 3. That's how I'm changing colour today. Next time I do it, it might be different. If you've got a way you like to do it however you wish. I really don't mind. Right, join in with your new colour, or if you stay with the same colour, turn your work. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3. That classes as your first double crochet. Now what we're going to do is we are going to skip this double crochet that we've got underneath your chain 3, right here, and we're going to work straight into the next gap and put 3 double crochets in there. And then back to skipping 3 doubles, come to your next gap and put 3 double crochets in there. Again, keep skipping 3 double crochets and working 3 double crochets into the gap. Keep doing this until you reach your final gap, which is where I'm at right now. I've only got 1 gap left, so you put your 3 doubles in there. That then leaves you with 2 doubles, well, it's your double crochet and your chain 3 from the beginning of the round. You're going to skip that first double crochet and you're going to go into the top of your chain 3. I always find if I twist it a little bit, pull it and twist it around a bit, then you can go into it a bit easier. I say that and I bet you anything in this world that I am never going to struggle to get in there. So you're going to place 1 double crochet in the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the previous round. I've gone straight through. Ha-ha! 1 double crochet in that very last stitch. And that's row 2. Now I'm changing colour again, so I am going to fasten off and change my colour. You change colour however you wish. If you're not changing colour, again, just turn your work and then you're ready to start row 3. I'm going to turn it round. Okay, so far we have added 2 rows. Now if you're using chunky yarn or super chunky, you're going to have a lot more width than what I have right now. So I'm just going to show you that we're going to take our tape measure as we're working our neckline shaping, and we need this section to grow to about 6 to 8 centimetres, but we need to have an even number of rows because it just makes the pattern a lot easier to explain. So you're just going to take your tape measure and measure in the middle. At the minute, I'm at 3 centimetres. So I need to get to 6 to 8 centimetres, but have an even number of rows. So I need to keep going. Let me change my colour. Going to attach my yarn in my last stitch with a slip stitch. Okay, so this row is very similar to the first one that we've done. We're going to start off with 2 double crochets at the beginning. So we're going to chain 3, which is going to class as your first double. And then you're going to put another double crochet into that very same stitch. And that classes as 2 double crochets. Okay, so now you've got a little gap here, right underneath. You're going to ignore that. We're going to skip over that gap and we're going to skip over the next 3 double crochets and we're going to come straight to this gap. Okay, the next gap. So skip that little one there, ignore that. Come to these 3 doubles and skip those and then go in the very next gap with 3 double crochets. Skip 3 doubles, go into your next gap with 3 double crochets. Skip 3 doubles, come to your next gap with 3 double crochets. And keep working that until you reach your last gap. That was my last gap. So I've got this bit here which kind of looks like 4 doubles in a row, but you've got your 3 doubles, a little gap here, and then your chain 3 from the previous row. So we're going to go straight into the top of the chain 3 from the previous row and place 2 double crochets to mirror what we've done at the beginning. So we started with 2, we're going to end with 2. 2 double crochets in the top of the chain 3 from the previous row. And that's row 3. I'm fastening off because I'm changing colour because I love to just give myself loads of ends. Ha 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 ha. So basically we're now going to do row 2 again on top of row 3. So basically we are literally going to be repeating the same rows with the 2 doubles at one end, 1 double at one end, 2 doubles at one end, 1 double at one end. Does that make sense? Let me do the next one and then see if we can, you see what I mean. I'm going to turn my work round, change my colour to purple. I'll do this row. I don't know, I feel like I said round a minute ago, I probably did. I'm going to do this row and then I'm going to measure mine again to see where I'm at. Okay, so this is the row where we just have one double at each end. The last row we did, we had 2. This row, we're going to have 1 at each end. And we just keep repeating those 2 rows over and over until we reach the length of 6 to 8 centimetres. So I'm going to join my yarn in with a slip stitch. Okay, so we're going to chain 3. That classes as your first double. Again, you're going to skip this little double crochet right here and you're going to work straight into the gap right next to it and put 3 double crochets. Then you're back to skipping 3 doubles and going in the next gap with 3 double crochets. Skip 3 doubles, come to your next gap with 3 double crochets. Keep repeating this until you get to your final gap where you're going to place 3 double crochets. That then leaves you with 2 doubles, which is your double crochet and your chain 3 from the previous round. You're going to skip the first double crochet and you're going to go into the top of the chain 3 from the previous round with 1 double crochet. And that's that one. Now we need an even number of rows added. I am now on row 4, so I'm going to take my tape measure again and see if I'm close to 6 to 8 centimetres. Measuring in the middle, I'm at 5 centimetres. So that means to me, I need to add 2 more rows and I'll be at that measurement of 6 to 8 centimetres with an even number of rows. So I'll do my last 2 rows with you again. Just change the colour of my yarn. I hope I've got enough yarn. I'm getting a little paranoid that I'm going to run out because I took these out of my scrap box and I just don't know about the sleeves. I don't think we're going to make it. But if not, I could try and find hopefully some similar colours maybe. I'm trying not to go to the yarn shop as much as I love it. Right, I'm going to turn my work around and I'm now going to repeat the first row that we've done where we have 2 doubles at the end. So let me just join my yarn in with a slip stitch. Okay, so we're going to chain 3, which classes as the first double, and then we're going to put another double crochet into the very same stitch as your chain 3. So if you remember, there's a little gap right next to it. We don't go in that, we completely ignore it, and we skip 3 double crochets and come into the next gap with 3 double crochets. Oh, hang on, my yarn's got stuck. Then you go back to skipping 3 double crochets and placing 3 double crochets in the next gap. Keep going and until you reach your final gap. And then remember, it looks like you've got 4 doubles here when really you've got your group of 3, a little tiny gap, and then the chain 3 from the previous round. You're going to go in the top of that chain 3 with 2 double crochets. That's that one. Let me just swap my yarn over again, different colour. And I think this might be my final row. Let me turn my work. attach my new colour. So I'm going to do this row, which will be row 6 for me, and then I'm going to measure it again to see if I'm between 6 to 8 centimetres with my even number of rows. So I'm going in through my first stitch with a slip stitch. This is the row where we only have 1 double crochet at each end. So I'm going to chain 3, which classes as my first double crochet. And then I'm going to go straight into this gap, this very first gap here with 3 doubles. Oh, the postwoman's just walked by the window. Bet she can totally hear me. Bet she could totally hear me talking to myself. Right, 3 double crochets, and then next gap, 3 double crochets. I feel like I need to whisper because I am talking very loudly. It's funny. I need a back room. I'm right at the front of the house. I need a back room. Okay, keep skipping your 3 doubles and going in the gap with another 3 double crochets. Oh, it's good. She's going now. I can be loud again. Oh, I'm not looking what I'm doing. I'm watching the postie. Right, skip 3 doubles until you get to your last gap where you're going to put 3 double crochets. And that leaves you with your double and your chain 3. You're going to skip that first double and go into the top of the chain 3 with 1 double crochet. Now I think this is enough for me. So I'm just going to measure it and see where I am at. Oh, look at all those lovely ends hanging out there. Okay, let's have a look. Straight down the middle. I'm at about 7.5 centimetres. So yes, I am stopping. I'm very happy with that. If you're using a thinner yarn like DK or a 4-ply yarn, you're probably going to need to add a few more rows. So just remember that your next row is 2 doubles at the end of each row. You're just literally repeating those 2 rows. So you have 2 doubles, and then you're going to skip over 3 and go into your gaps. And then your next row will be the one you've literally just done, where you've got 1 double and you skip your DC and go into the very first gap. So just keep repeating those 2 rows until you reach 6 to 8 centimetres. Yeah, and that's about it really. 6 to 8 centimetres. And it's got to be an even number. That's the one. I knew there was another one. So I'm going to come over to the next side quickly and show you how to start the next side, because we're not going to be working from this way outwards, and we're not going to be working on this side because our rows would be different side facing compared to this one. So let me get my original colour and I'm going to show you just a little bit of this side. Not that it's that different. Oh gosh, I'm getting tangled up. So for the opposite side, you will be starting in the single crochet with your stitch marker in it. I'll just do 1 row with you because all the rest is going to be exactly the same as what you've just done for this side. So with your front panel, your stitches should be facing upwards. We're going to start in the same stitch as the stitch marker. So get your yarn and attach it with a slip stitch through the very same single crochet as your stitch marker. Chain 3 and put another double crochet in the very same stitch. And then you are going to skip the chain space and you're going to work into the next single crochet with 3 double crochets. Skip the next chain space and come into the next single crochet with 3 double crochets. Skip your next chain space, again, next single crochet with 3 double crochets. And keep repeating that until you get to the corner. So I'm at the corner, I've got 1 chain space left and then the corner. So then you're going to go straight into that corner with 2 double crochets. Oh, I've got hooked up a bit there. 2 double crochets. And then you're going to be back to where you were for this side. So your next row is going to be 1 double crochet at each end, and then your next row will be 2 double crochets at each end. Just keep repeating until you have the exact same amount of rows here as what you do here. So when you've got those bits, I'll meet you back here and we'll be adding some more rows onto the back panel. Okay, so we've now got our neckline shaping. We're going to add 1 more row to the top of each section, and it's going to be a joining row. So I'm going to use the exact same colour that I used to join my squares, because we're going to be placing the same stitch on here and here. Okay, so with your top, your front panel, right side facing up, it is going to be a top, I suppose. We're not quite there, but we're getting there. So I'm going to join it in the top right corner of this bit right here, the top of my neckline shaping. I'm going to join my yarn in with a single crochet. So I'm going to go through the very first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, which then gives me 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and go through both loops. And that's joining it in with a single crochet. So what we're going to do now is chain 3, skip the next 3 double crochets and come to the next gap, place a single crochet in the gap, and then keep doing that. Chain 3, skip 3 double crochets, single crochet in the next gap, chain 3, skip 3 doubles, single crochet in the next gap. Keep doing that until you reach your final gap, which I have just done. And then I'm going to chain 3 one more time. I'm going to skip the next 3 double crochets and I'm going to place a single crochet in the top of the chain 3 from the previous row. And then I'm going to fasten off. And it should look like that. And then you're going to do the exact same thing for this side. Start in the top right corner of this section here and do exactly what you've just done there. And I'll meet you back here when you've done that. Okay, so my front panel is done. I have just added the joining row to my second part of my neckline shaping. And now it's time to work on the back panel. So what we're going to do on the back panel is basically what we've done here, but rather than leaving this gap here, we're going to go all the way across the back panel and then all the way back again. So let me get my back panel, do a little swapsy. Again, make sure that your stitches and your back panel in general is right side facing up. That is not the right way. Hang on, that's the one. Lovely jubblies. Okay, so you're going to start from the top, right. And we're going to do basically what we've just done for the neckline shaping, but we're going to keep going all the way across rather than leaving a gap in the middle. So, I'll just do a couple of rows with you and then let you get on with it. Because you're going to add the same amount of rows that you've just added for your neckline shaping. So mine was 6. I added 6 rows to my neckline shaping. So I need to add 6 rows to my back panel at the top. Okay, so for the first row, we are going in the top right hand corner I'm going to join it in with a single no, I'm not. I'm joining it in with a slip stitch. Nearly tripped up then. Slip stitch, and then a chain 3. And then we're going to place a double crochet in the same space. Okay, now we're going to skip over this chain space right here, the first chain space in front of you. You've got 2 single crochets and then your chain space. I don't know why I'm going into detail because you've just done it, haven't you, twice? We're going to go into the next single crochet with 3 double crochets. Skip the next chain space and put 3 double crochets in the next single crochet. And just keep repeating. Skip chain space, 3 doubles in the next single crochet. Skip the next chain space, 3 doubles in the next single crochet. Skip chain space, 3 doubles in the next single crochet. So keep going all the way across, and I will meet you back here when we get near the end. I've just realised I've gone all the way across there and totally forgot about this little bit right here. So shall I explain that first before I say, go on, up you go? Okay, so obviously we've got this corner bit here, the 2 corners from these squares and the centre join. So what we're going to do when we get to this section, I've got, what's it called? I can't think straight now. I've got my chain space here, and then we've got 2 single crochets, and then you've got the corner of this original square here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the very first single crochet right after the chain space. Go in the very first single crochet and place 3 double crochets in there. Then you're going to come to the centre of the braid of the join that we did. I call it a braid join. We're going to go somewhere in the middle of this join and place 3 double crochets right in the centre of your join. And now we're going to mirror image what we've just done here. So we've now got the corner chain space for this original square. You've got your corner chain space, and then you've got 2 single crochets. So you're going to skip the corner, and you're going to skip the first single crochet, and you're going to go in the second single crochet with 3 double crochets. And then you're back to skipping your chain space and then going into the next single crochet with 3 double crochets. Skip chain space, 3 doubles in the next single crochet. And just keep repeating this until you get to the end. Basically just putting 3 double crochets in every single crochet until you reach the corner. Okay, I'm going in my last single crochet before I reach my corner. So I'm going to skip my final chain space and skip these 2 single crochets here and go right into the corner, and I'm going to place 2 double crochets. Exactly the same as what we did for the neckline shaping. And then I'm changing colour. And then obviously your next row you're going to turn and you're going to have the 1 double crochet at each end. Then your next row you're going to have your 2. You know what you're doing, you've just done it twice. So I will meet you back here when you've done all of your like granny stitches, and then we will do the final joining row together, okay? Okay, so hopefully by now you've added the same number of rows to your back panel that you added to your neckline shaping on the front panel. And then we have one more row to do, which is going to be the joining row. So again, I'm using the same colour that I used to join my squares together. Oh, hang on, let me get my yarn. Where is it? Ever prepared, aren't I? Always prepared. Not. Okay, so we're going to start again in the top right corner and just go all the way across with our joining row. So I'm going to join in in the very first stitch with a single crochet. And then we're going to chain 3, skip the next 3 double crochets and come into the first gap with a single crochet. Chain 3, skip 3 double crochets, come in the next gap with a single crochet. Chain 3, skip the next 3 doubles and go into the next gap with a single crochet. Keep doing that. Chain 3, basically chain 3, single crochet in all the gaps. Oh, just come out. So keep doing this until you get to the other end, and I'll meet you back here when we get to the end. Right, so I am at the end now. I've gone in my last gap with a single crochet, so I just need to chain 3, skip the next 3 double crochets, and then go in the top of the turning chain, or chain 3, whatever you want to call it, from the previous row, and put a single crochet in the top of that stitch, and then fasten off. Where's my scissors? There we go. Just tighten that up. And there we go. That's that bit done. So the next section is going to be assembling. Okay, so we're now going to assemble the 2 pieces together. You're going to take your back piece and have it so your right side is facing up. So it's got to be right side facing up. Now going to get your front piece and you're going to lay it on top so that your right side is facing down. So let me find it, here we are. This is my front piece. As you can see, this is right side, so I need to flip it over so that both right sides are touching. So this is the wrong side facing up on my front panel. Make sure your neckline shaping is at the top. Still got a few little ends to weave in, but I'll do them as and when. So I have now got my 2 panels on top of each other. Back panel is facing up, right side facing up, and front panel is right side facing down. So we call it right sides touching. They should be touching. So when you turn it the right way out, then both your front pieces and your back pieces are both going to be right side facing out. Okay? I feel like I've just explained that in such an awkward manner. Basically, right sides are both touching. Like that. I feel like I'm talking too much. Okay, so we're now going to join this section first and then this section after. Right, let me just get my bearings about me. I'm going to zoom in again if I can work it out. Here we go, ready? Hold tight. Oh, lovely. Look at that. That's good, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to join together this little section of my neckline shaping from the front panel to the back panel. So let me get my yarn, same colour that I did my joining row in. It's up to you if you choose a different colour. I don't quite know what it will look like. I'm quite interested to see, to be honest. If you do that, please let me know. Tag me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. I'd love to see. Okay, so we need to go through both panels. So we're going to go through the front first in that first single crochet. Put your hook through there, and then your hook through the last single crochet, the first single crochet on the back panel. Sorry everybody, I don't know what I'm talking about clearly. Okay, we're going to join these two together with a single crochet. So I'm going to yarn over and bring up a loop. If I can get through all of my bits of yarn, I'm getting stuck. There we go. I've got 2 loops on my hook. So what I'm going to do now is yarn over and go through both of those. And that's my first single crochet. Going to chain 3 and then place a single crochet in that first chain space gap, just like how we did when we was joining our squares together. Make sure you go through the front and the back panel and place a single crochet around those 2 chain spaces. Chain 3 again, come to your next chain space, go through the front and back and place a single crochet. Chain 3, do exactly the same thing, come to your next chain space and put a single crochet through both panels like so, and keep going until you reach your last chain space, which is where I'm at right now. Put a single crochet through there, chain 3, and then go through the very last single crochet. It's on the very last single crochet on the front panel, and the next single crochet along on the back panel, and then put another single crochet. And then you can fasten off because that piece is now joined. And now we need to do the next section. Okay, so we're now going to join the next section. We're going to start from here and work our way across. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with me all of a sudden. I've lost the ability to talk. Okay, so we need to make sure that when we are joining the first stitch, that we're going through the right bit on the back panel. So I'm going to look at mine. You might have something different compared to me, but I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets on my front panel. So I'm going to come to the back panel and count the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to place a little stitch marker in that 5th single crochet because that is where I'm going to start. It's just a little reminder. You don't have to place that, but it's just a little reminder so you haven't got to keep going back and checking. I've only got a small amount of single crochet, so it doesn't matter. But if you've done a larger size, you might have a few more than what I've got. So, taking your yarn, if you pick up the front panel first and go through your very first single crochet, put your hook through that one, then pick up your back panel and go through the very first single crochet with the stitch marker in it. If it's being awkward like mine, remove the stitch marker and remember which single crochet it is. Like so. I'm going to join it in with a single crochet. So I'm going to yarn over and draw up a loop, which gives me 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over and pull through both of them, and that's my first single crochet. Then we're going to chain 3 and go through the first chain space on each panel with a single crochet. chain 3, come to your next chain spaces, go through both of them on both panels with a single crochet. Chain 3, come to your next chain space, go through both of them with a single crochet, and keep repeating until you get to your very last chain space, which is where I'm at right now. Chain 3, and then go through the last stitches, which is a single crochet on the front panel and then the single crochet on the back panel, and place one more single crochet. And then you can fasten off, weave in any ends. Just pull that tight. Is that the right one? No, it's this one. Give that a little yank, pull it tight. So when you do have a look and turn it the right way, you're going to have this lovely join on your shoulder seams. Okay, so I'm just going to weave in some ends, because if I have too many I get totally overwhelmed. So I'm going to weave these in, and then we're going to seam up the sides and create a gap here at the top for our armholes and the sleeves. So meet you back here in a minute. Okay, so we have now seamed our shoulder seams. We are now going to seam the side seams. Still got right sides touching together and the wrong side facing up. So for this section you're going to need your tape measure and 2 stitch markers, and you're going to need to find the measurement for your armhole and the size that you are working on. So I'm doing a size small, and that's telling me that I need to measure down 17.5 centimetres for my armhole. So take your tape measure. Watch out, Mary Mandrake. Just going to go from one side down to 17.5. I'm just going to measure it on the top panel first. So yeah, I'm looking at this one. So we're going to go through the chain space, not the single crochet, but the chain space closest to that measurement. So let me get my stitch marker. I'm going to go through the front one first, and then I'm just going to have a look to see where my original square is. I've got my corner, I've got 1 chain space, 2 chain space, and I've gone through the 3rd chain space. If I bring it in a bit closer, so you can see what I'm talking about a bit easier. So here is my original square. I've got that corner right there. I've got 1 chain space, 2 chain space, and I am in the 3rd chain space. So I'm just going to flip it over a little bit and find the exact same chain space on the back panel. So there's my corner, 1 chain space, 2, 3. Oh look, it's fell out my front one, look. 1, 2, 3. So I've got to make sure we go through both panels. Remember, you need to find the measurement for your size, okay? Don't just do 1, 2, 3 like I've done, and just in case you're working on a different size. I'm doing size small. So what you're going to need to do, oh hang on, I'm going the wrong way, sorry. Trying to get used to this equipment. And then you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side, but we don't need to measure that because we already know that, well, what chain space you're going to be in. I know that I'm in chain space number 3 of the original square. So I'm just going to come across to my other side and go 1, 2, 3, find it on the back, 1, 2, 3, put another stitch marker through both chain spaces. Now, what I would suggest is have a little gentle try on to see what you think to your armhole measurement, because if you put it on you think that's too small, I'm not going to be able to do that, that's uncomfortable, then you can go down another chain space. Now is the time to try it on. If you know it's going to be alright, I mean, I know mine's going to be alright because I always use the same measurement for me anyway for this type of this fit, so I know I'm good to go. But if you're unsure, the best thing to do is just to gently try it on with these stitch markers in, and then you can adjust it, can't you? So I'll meet you back here in a minute to do the seaming. Okay, so before we start seaming, because we're going to be going up the sides, we're going to start from the bottom corners and seam all the way up to the stitch marker. So I'm just going to literally flip my top on its side so I can start on this side first and go across here. Okay, so we're going to seam across the bottom corner all the way up to the stitch marker, and we're going to be using the same braid join that we've been using throughout the entire pattern. So let me get my yarn. I'm using the same colour that I've been using to join all my squares. Again, that's totally optional. You can use whatever colour you want. Do it however you want. It's your sweater. Doesn't matter how many colours you use, does it? Okay, so starting in the bottom corner, go through both panels in the corner and join it in with a single crochet, just like we have been doing. And then chain 3 and then put a single crochet through the next chain spaces, both panels, remember. Chain 3, come to your next set of chain spaces, put a single crochet. Chain 3, next chain space is, I say chain spaces because we're going through front and back panels, put a single crochet. Chain 3, come to your next chain space, single crochet, chain 3, come to the next chain spaces, single crochet, chain 3. I'm pretty certain you know what you're doing already, don't you? So yeah, just keep going all the way until you reach your stitch marker. I'm back again, sorry, I just turned off the video because I was going to go all the way to the stitch marker, and then I remembered again, we've got these little bits here where we meet two squares joined together and we've got the corners. I like to get ahead of myself, don't I? We have done this already, but I'm just going to show you again. So I have reached my final chain space before I get to the centre join of both of my squares. So what we're going to do is chain 3, and you're going to go through both the original corners of the square. Okay, so just go through the first corner on the front panel and the corner on the back panel and place a single crochet. And then chain 3, skip over the seam and then come to the next corner. Make sure I'm in the corner, yeah, and you're going to go through both panels of the corner and put a single crochet. Ooh, ooh, ee, ooh, ooh. And then you're going to go back to your original chain 3, go in both the chains with a single crochet. Chain 3 in the chain space with a single crochet. I get a bit ahead of myself sometimes and forget about these little centre bits. But yeah, it's just the same. We've already done it before when we joined these bits together, haven't we? And on the neckline somewhere. Over here. So yeah, keep placing single crochets in your chain spaces and then chain 3 and keep doing that until you reach oh, I nearly got it wrong then. Until you reach your chain space with your stitch marker in it, which mine is here. So I'm just going to chain 3 and place 1 single crochet in that last chain space and then fasten off. And that is one side seamed. I can now remove this stitch marker because I don't need it anymore. And then you're literally going to pick up your work and just flip it over. And then you're going to do the exact same thing that you've just done on the opposite side. So starting at your bottom corners, seam all the way up to the stitch marker, exactly the same way as we just done. Okay, so we now have both side seams seamed. Both side seams seamed. Yes, something like that. Anyway, so what we're going to do next is the sleeves. So what we need to do is turn our garment the right way out. So let's just flip it inside itself and turn it so it's all the right way out. Have your front panel facing you. Okay, I'm going to start with this seam. I'm still a blooming section behind, I think, aren't I? I'm going to start with this sleeve on my left hand side. It really doesn't matter which one you prefer to go with first, doesn't matter at all. So I'm just going to get my yarn. Old Sleeve Island, we love it. Not. Sometimes I seem to whiz through a sleeve, and other days it just seems, well, I say other days, other weeks, it takes me ages. It just takes me ages to get through a sleeve sometimes. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab whatever side you're going in first, and just kind of flip it round a bit so you can have a look at what we're going to do. So we're going to insert our hook and attach our yarn through the seam bar. If I can get it a bit closer so you can see that. I'm going to go through this stitch bit right here, and I think that's your last single crochet that you placed when you were seaming up the sides. So we're going to go around the seam bar, is what I like to call it. So where's my hook? I'm going to go straight through there, and we're going to attach it with a slip stitch. Oh, I'm getting all hooked up. Right, so place a slip stitch and then chain 3 and put 2 more double crochets around that same seam bar. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to skip over the chain space and we're going to go into the single crochet with 3 double crochets. Oh, I've just lost that last one. And then again, skip over the next chain space and then come into the next single crochet with 3 double crochets. Keep skipping your chain spaces and going in the single crochets until you reach your corner chain space, like the corner bit of the original square. So I've now got 2 single crochets. There's a chain space and 2 single crochets. We're going to skip over all of that and just go straight into the corner, the original corner of one of your main granny squares. Okay, you see what I mean? Because this here is an original granny square that we attached. So skip over the chain space and go straight into the corner chain space. Sorry, skip the chain space, skip the next 2 single crochets and go straight into the corner with 3 double crochets. Now what you'll find is we're going to have to skip over double crochet bars. I like to call them DC bars, okay? So it's basically where we've had added on our extra neckline shaping. And it's just going to be the stitch at the end of each row. We are going to go around that stitch because we're working with the stitches on this side. Okay, so you're going to skip the first DC bar and go into the next one with 3 double crochets. I'm going around that final stitch at the end of my neckline shaping and placing 3 double crochets. Again, skip your next DC bar and then go around the next one with 3 double crochets. And again, skipping the next one, going around the next one with 3 double crochets. Now we're going to skip over the seam because I'm now at my shoulder seam. I'm just going to skip over that and go around the next DC bar with 3 double crochets. Just turn my top around because I'm now coming back down the other side. So again, skip the DC bar and go around the next one with 3 double crochets. Skip the next DC bar, go around the next one with 3 double crochets, and keep doing this until you reach the corner of the original granny square on the opposite side. So I am now at that corner chain space. So I'm going to put my 3 double crochets in the corner chain space. I'm going to skip the next 2 single crochets and the chain space and go in the top of the single crochet with 3 doubles. So we've just mirror imaged what we've done on the opposite side. Skipping the next chain space and coming to the next single crochet with 3 double crochets. And that's now brought me to the end of my round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join it with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 from the beginning of the round. And that's round 1. Okay, so if you want to change your colour for the next round, then you'll just fasten off and then you will just turn your work and rejoin your yarn with a slip stitch in the first gap from where you literally just joined, fastened off, sorry, get my words muddled up again. So yeah, literally just fasten off, turn your work and rejoin your yarn in the first gap where you literally just fastened off and join your yarn with a slip stitch and then you're ready for the next round. I am sticking with the same colour for this one. So all you're going to do if you're sticking with the same colour is chain 3, turn your work and put 2 double crochets back into this gap. And then yeah, we're going to skip 3 doubles, go in the next gap and put 3 double crochets. Skip the next 3 doubles and then put 3 doubles in the next gap. Skip your next 3 doubles and go in the next gap with 3 double crochets. And that's all we're doing from here on out. Skipping 3 doubles in the gap. All the way around. Let's just turn my work around. It's the only thing when you're doing the sleeves, isn't it? You have to keep turning it. Keep turning your garment, otherwise you end up getting all twisted. So yeah, keep skipping your 3 doubles and putting 3 doubles in the gaps. All the way around. Skip 3, 3 in the gap. I'll just start off the 3rd round with you because I will be changing colour. So I'll just show you how I do that. Even though I explained it a minute ago and it is super simple, I will show you how I'll do it anyway. Okay, so I'm in my last gap. So I'm now going to join the round together by going through the top of the chain 3 from the previous round and joining it in with a slip stitch. So I'm going to change my colour for my next round. So I'm going to fasten off. Get my next colour ready. Oh, I've just realised I've used the wrong colour. I was meant to use this one. Do you know what? Whatever. Yeah? Whatever. Will it be alright? Oh no, actually, if it is alright. No, it is right. It is right. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm losing my mind, I think. No, it is right. I don't know. Should I go back to bed? Ooh. Okay, so I'm changing colour. So I'm just going to turn my work and rejoin my yarn in the gap where I've literally just fastened off. If you're sticking with the same colour, then you are going to chain 3 and then turn your work and work 2 double crochets back into that same gap. But yeah, I'm changing colour. So I'm going to attach my yarn with a slip stitch, chain 3, and then put 2 more double crochets back into the same gap. And then just continue on with skipping 3 doubles and putting 3 doubles in the next gap. And we're going to do this all the way around for however long you want your sleeve to be. Now, if you're making it for yourself, I always suggest try it on, and when you're happy with the length, then just stop adding these rows, and then we'll move on to the cuff section. If you're making it for somebody else, I have a measurement, like I have some measurements in the written description. So find the size that you're working on and find the arm length measurement. And then that will show you, well, that will give you a rough idea of what measurement to aim for. So we're just putting 3 doubles in all the gaps and skipping over your double crochets, just basically doing the granny stitch all the way around. I'll do this one row with you and I'll show you how to measure your sleeve. If you're using the measurements in the written description, then you're going to need to measure your sleeve. If you're making it for yourself and you're just going to try it on and see how you feel with it, when you're happy with it, then you can just stop. You don't need to worry about measuring. But yeah, if you're making it for someone else, you might want to use my measurements that I've got in the written description. I mean, I'm going to show you how to measure it, but that's only if I've got enough length here. If not, I might have to add a few more rows. Rounds. You know what I mean. Add a few more rounds. So I'm nearly there for my 3rd round. Also, if you're changing colour like me quite often, I would strongly suggest that you weave your ends in as you go. So I'm going to do another round of this colour. So what I would do when I fastened off, I will then come back to my pink and start weaving the ends in. Then when I add my next colour and I fasten off my next colour, I will then come back to my yellow ends and then weave those in. And it just becomes a habit. Otherwise, if you're changing colour as often as I am, or even more if you're doing it every single round, you are going to have so many ends to deal with. So many. So I find if you just do it after each colour change, you don't even notice it and it starts to become a bit of a habit. So that's always a good tip for me. Yeah, I haven't really got a lot here to measure it with, have I? But basically, I'll do a little one here, then once I get a bit more extra length, I will come back and show you. But I'll just show you now that you are going to lay your top out flat. I mean, obviously, I've got hardly any sleeve length here at all at the moment, but you will measure from the underarm outwards. So if you're using the measurements that are in the written description, you will take your tape measure and start from the underarm and measure like this. At the minute, I'm at 4 centimetres, which means I have got a long way to go. But that's okay. That's okay. I will add a bit more and then I will show you again the measuring, how to measure. So yeah, sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Right, you keep adding rows of granny stitch to your sleeve. And then we'll do the cuff. Well, hey.